Hello, this is John Paval with Access Arts Live with the Wednesday, November 19th live stream update. And there's a lot going on today. There are three organ recital live streams happening. Two of them are already ongoing as I speak. So I want to tell you about them right away so you can switch over to them and watch them live if you want. We have two orchestral live streams and then four chamber work live streams from all over the place, from Madrid, Washington, D.C., New York, and Portland, Oregon. So let's go. Let's get to it. Before I go any further, let me remind you, this is the perfect time for you to like and or to follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live wherever you may watch us. And that would be on Facebook, YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and or LinkedIn, to make sure you get updates like this every day and every week. So now let's get into what's going on. We have these three organ live streams. One of them started about 20 minutes ago at 2 o'clock in the afternoon European time. The other one started at 2:10, 10 minutes later. The first is the music director and organist of the Temple Church London, Thomas Allery, playing at the Temple Church. The second one is Stanley Godfrey, who will be playing works at Queen's College, Oxford, in the Queen's College Chapel there. And he'll be playing works by Dutch masters, Hendrik Spuy, Anthony van Noort, Swaling, Peter Cornet, and Arthur Wills. I don't know who most of those are aside from Swaling, but and so you can switch over to either of those now or wait for the 5 minutes it takes me to do this little shtick and then switch over to see them. But if you're an organ lover, it might be something that you want to check out. There are their pictures there. And then, or you can wait until 6 o'clock this evening, I think it will be European time, noon on the East Coast, 9 in the morning on the West Coast, to hear an organist who's actually from the Netherlands, Olga Malkina van der Feer. But she won't be playing just Netherlands composers. She'll be playing Bach, Scheidemann, Swaling, Preston, and then some more modern composers like Gilman, Ravanello, and more. The most modern, it's Veni Creator Spiritu by Rutti, which was composed in 1949. So that'll be at 6 o'clock in the evening. She grew up and studied at the Kurmangazi Conservatory in Alma Ata, which is a long way from the Netherlands, but that was in 1994. But then she moved to the Netherlands the year after and has been there ever since, with an active piano and organ career there, and recordings and all of that stuff. So those are the three organ live streams that we have for you today. Then there are two orchestral live streams going on. The first of them is, you see that guy in the picture, Boris Andrionov. He's a cellist. This is the Moscow Philharmonic Society is hosting the Russian National Orchestra, which has been hosting the 17th International Cello Festival there. And this is their closing concert with the accomplished cellist Boris Andrionov. They'll be doing pieces by Strauss, Podgates, Piazzolla, and Allen, not just for cello and orchestra, but also bringing in the domra, the clarinet, guitar, piano, saxophone, percussion, drums, double bass, and bass guitar. So it sounds like it could be a fun time. And if you, judging by the picture of that, the photograph of that cellist, it could very well be a fun time. Now, if you want to wait until later in the evening, if you are in the U.S., on the East Coast or on the West Coast, late tonight, Wednesday, at midnight on the East Coast, 9:30 in the evening on the West Coast, you have a chance to hear at a relatively reasonable time the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Gemma New, that former Dudamel fellow who's part of this wave of women conductors who are showing up all over the place. There's something like a dozen of them or so, and they've all been live streaming in the last year. So if you're interested in that, it's another reason for you to follow Access Arts Live. Anyway, Gemma New has been with the New Zealand Symphony for a couple of years now. Before that, she was conducting the Hamilton Symphony in Canada. She is bringing in Jess Gillam, this superstar saxophonist who is she was like the youngest ever musician to play at the last night of the proms. She has her own award-winning show on the BBC. She was live streamed in a concert with the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra a few weeks ago, and here she is popping up in Wellington, New Zealand. But she's a phenomenon that you don't want to miss. If you're a saxophone lover, you want to check that out. They're also doing an interesting piece. They'll be doing a new composition for the harp to open up that concert. If you want more details about any of these two concerts, just check out the live stream that I did, the roundup of all the orchestral works this week on Monday, and I give you more details. But this has to be brief. Now we go on. There are 4 chamber music live streams going on today, and I want to tell you about each one of them briefly as I can. And when we have pictures of all of them there, the first of them is a March Vivo live stream out of Madrid. It's the veteran pianist Ana Guijarro and the duo, the brothers, Moreno Gistaín. And back in the early 20th century, Maurice Ravel and the composers around him, people like Debussy and Fauré and Chabrier, they were fascinated with Spanish music. And so this is a concert of French piano music, which was inspired by Spanish piano music. And so they'll be doing, they'll start out with Ravel's L'heure espagnole, the Spanish hour, transcribed for 2 pianos by the Gistaín brothers. And then they'll finish up with Manuel de Falla's Night in the Gardens of Spain. They'll do that in a solo piano version and then a 4 hands version. And everything they're doing in this concert is either for 2 pianos or for 4 hands on 1 piano, because that's what the Gistaín duet, the Moreno Gistaín duet, that's what those guys specialize in. So you want to hear French music inspired by Spanish music played by Spanish pianists? Here you go. Then in Portland, a little later in the day at noon on the West Coast, 3 o'clock on the East Coast, 9 in the evening here in Europe, it's the Old Church Lunchtime concert is being live streamed. And the featured trio, it's a piano trio called the Trio Musicorum Medicorum. Why is it called that? It's 3 doctors who are also musicians. And one of them's a dentist, one's a naturopath, and one's a homeopath. But they all got their training at, one of them was at the New England Conservatory. And so they got their training in music schools, but then they wanted to be doctors as well. So they'll be playing piano trios by Bach, Bloch, and Babajanian. Then a little later at 6 o'clock in the evening Eastern time, 3 o'clock on the West Coast, midnight here in Europe, the Kennedy Center is live streaming a concert in honor of Mikalojus Konstantinas Čiurlionis, a Lithuanian composer whose 150th anniversary is taking place this year. And so they're bringing in a cellist, Gleb Pisniak. I think I have the photos for you there. Yeah, that cellist on the left is Gleb Pisniak, and pianist Roka Zubovas to play his music, but also play music by a couple other Lithuanian composers and some music by Philip Glass and George Gershwin, because apparently they have some connection with Lithuanian ancestry. And the pianist is the director of a Čiurlionis house in Vilnius, who has put out a 30-episode study of Čiurlionis on YouTube. So you can check that out if you really, really want to do a deep dive into this Lithuanian music. And then finally, there's one more live stream that will be happening today, and that's with this Momenta String Quartet. They're a younger quartet based in New York City. They've already done residencies at Temple, Cornell, Brown, and Binghamton universities. So they got to be doing something right. They have a highly interesting discography. They'll be playing Palestrina's motet in 2 parts, and then they jump forward like 600 years to Jeff Nichols's String Quartet No. 2, composed in 2016. They'll do the world premiere of Lawrence Kramer's String Quartet number 11 called Murmuration, which Kramer composed in 2024. And then they will finish up with Ravel's String Quartet in F major. And that concert will be at 7:30 in the evening Eastern Standard Time, 4:30 on the West Coast, 1:30 in the morning here in Europe, and 11:30 Friday morning down under in Australia. That's what I have for you for today, folks. I will be back later today, probably at 6 o'clock European time, noon on the East Coast, 9 in the morning on the West Coast, to fill you in on a raft of new music, or what I call now music, contemporary compositions that are going to be live streamed all this weekend.